Greetings everybody, I'm Paul the producer and this is FitSpaz Recovery. I'm here to help you get fit, get healthy, and stay sober. And to tell you the truth, you're helping me stay fit, stay healthy, and stay sober. Which is not always easy. So, a lot of stuff on my mind this past week, and maybe it's apropos that it follows the week in which I might have been a little arrogant when I was saying I'm one in a million, I'm one in a million. We're all one in a million in a certain way, but I gotta be a little more humble in my approach. And why am I saying that? Really, just because I've had an emotionally difficult week. This has not been a good week for me in certain ways, productivity wise and personally. I'm a little bit off kilter, and so that's a little bit of what I'm going to talk about today. But first I want to say, of the things that are going right, meditation and exercise are still very much a part of my everyday routine. I've been doing something called Core de Force, and it's a Muay Thai inspired program. There's a lot of punch and kick combos in it, and there is also, without any equipment, all kinds of exercise moves to condition your body along the lines of a fighter training or something. But some of them have you doing 1,000,000 push-ups, some of them have you working your legs. All very nice stuff. I'm enjoying myself, and for the most part I've seen myself improve over the couple weeks that I've been doing it, and that's what I like. The form with these moves, the punching combos coming more easily. I'm executing them more quickly. I think my form is decent because I'm looking in a mirror over here as I'm doing it. So I like it very much. Still doing a dance routine on Wednesday nights too. I have one tonight, and that'll be interesting. Still very strange doing a country dance routine. I'm gonna get through this one and see what comes next, but it's not my favorite just because there was more practice in the previous dance routine that I was doing. Practice as far as repeating more complex moves throughout an individual routine. This one you do 2 moves, you repeat them like 8 times, and then you move on to 2 other moves. And yeah, it gets you moving, it gets you warm, but I'm really looking for something where I'm building up a routine, a more solid routine. But I'm not through this yet. As soon as I try the other routines, I'll see if it's going to add more to the mix, if you know what I mean, as far as the routine, the choreography, the number of moves you have that they're putting into one dance moment or whatever. In size, from beginning to end, you're just building on a whole routine that lasts about 30-45 seconds in there, and it's a lot of different moves. And this one, like I said, is fewer moves, so I don't know if I enjoy that as much. But thank goodness for the exercise and keeping up the morning routine. On most days, I'm pushing extremely hard. I'm pushing like 100%. And yesterday was not a good day for exercise, but I still got through it. I got my heart going. I got sweating, but I was very frustrated. And today I had a much better night of sleep, and my energy level was just, compared to yesterday, was exceptional when I was working out, and I loved the sweat that I got. I love the feeling of improving. When these trainers in this video are saying, come on, don't cheat yourself, go, go, it's like they're tapping in to that in me, and I'm really pushing myself hard to take myself to a new level. And of course, I'm not pushing in a way like I might die or I'm hurting myself. I feel like I'm within the boundaries of maintaining good health and not pushing myself too far into a realm where it could possibly hurt myself, right? So a little more about how I've been feeling the past week. I'm almost at 2 years of consistent sobriety. No alcohol, no smoking of marijuana, and I don't regret doing that. I'm still able to look at my bad days and say, hey, this is not nearly as low and as dark as a days plural compared to back when I was getting drunk and smoking. And I'm grateful for that. I'm glad I recognize that. But the fight is not over. It amazes me, actually, because you don't know what to expect if you've been getting high and drunk all your adult life and you quit. How could I possibly know that 2 years later I'd still be dreaming about smoking marijuana? And it's vivid, and it's like I never stopped the habit, and I'm still missing it. I'm still feeling sometimes like, so lately, feeling a little bit in an emotional rut. I have a thought sometimes like, well, if I smoked pot, it would be an immediate way to just change my state of mind. But it's contrary to what I've been trying to teach myself, to be regimented about sobriety and learning to cope with things through sober methods instead of going to that crutch, going to that habit of getting high. I'm still marvel at how different I am with my mood and my life and my days. My habits have done a full reversal and a total change from when I was smoking. I'm grateful for that. I feel blessed, but I still feel like I'm at risk. And I still have an attitude about smoking marijuana along the lines of, I haven't said to myself like, oh, I'm never going to do it again, because you just never know. Sometimes my mind is like, yeah, someday I will go back to it. And so I fight with that. It's a constant tug of war, and I'm trying to remind myself all the time, and including in my meditation routine, why it's so important to stay sober overall, for my mood most of all. So forget for a second that I would like to develop a productive life where I'm accomplishing things and growing in this sober state. Forget that for a second. Just that I'm focusing every morning when I'm praying after my meditation. One of the first things I say to myself after saying the Serenity Prayer is, it's the first thing after saying the Serenity Prayer, it's to maintain my sobriety. And then I say maintain my fitness, and then maintain or improve my nutrition. Because I think these things are all inherently linked, but I feel like I need it, and yet I'm just a regular guy. I'm not perfect. So I say I'm 1 in a million, but really, it's not quite that good. We're all unique and special in our own way, and I shouldn't get too carried away boasting about myself being so great. Here's more of what's bothering me, okay, along those lines. And it has to do with what I mentioned a little in the show last week, that the noise from the politics is deafening in social media, and it's irritating that people can't just relax a little. They feel like everything's at stake, and you know, but when you're posting negative stuff on social media, all you're really doing is being negative and bringing negative to the world. Can you take that same energy and contribute in a positive way to the world, is my question. And it's tough for me to get specific, because one of the things that bothers me is if you have certain opinions that you think are well reasoned and well thought out, you get labeled, you get branded, even if it's not fair, even if it's not accurate. So all this noise has contributed to my feeling emotionally frustrated with people. And I'm trying to figure out how to cope with it in a meaningful way, you know? And so a part of my daily routine is always reminding myself that hardships will arrive, they'll materialize, and I have to have a decent way of coping with them. And that means not getting high, not getting drunk. I'm constantly having to remind myself of that. And it's just never going to go away. This is going to have to be the daily habit of the rest of my life, or for as long as I really have an interest in maintaining sobriety. Other things bothering me, you know. Every time I have my daughter for a long weekend, I enjoy her company. And I feel like I'm living purpose, having this bond with her, this relationship where I'm trying to instill values in a kid so that she grows up to be fundamentally good. And so it's usually wonderful. Her company, the way I love making her laugh, the way she understands humor now, the way we giggle, the way she's creative, and I marvel at how creative she is in so many ways, and imaginative, and always finding something to occupy her time. And so when she goes back to her mother, I feel a great amount of personal deflation. I have trouble with it sometimes. And I mean, before I was in Europe, I certainly was dealing with that better as far as with my daily habits and what I was doing to stay productive and to feel like I'm doing the most I can to lead a productive life, to grow personally, to be learning stuff and skills that are of value to me. And I've kept some of that up, but it's just, for me, I'm just admitting that to you guys. I'm telling you that when she leaves, I feel a certain amount of emotional deflation that's hard to cope with sometimes. Even from the moment I walk in after taking her home, when the house is just so quiet without her, I feel like, I like having her around. I love her dearly. And it's not just for me. It's natural as a parent to want to have your kids around all the time. So this is not a gendered criticism of any kind, who's better and why. It's just merely stating it's natural to want to be around your kids all the time. It's natural to be around your kids all the time for those of you that don't have broken families. And so it's kind of a heartache for me when I'm not. And so that's part of what I deal with on a personal level. Another thing, that I've mentioned on here a lot in the past, it's something that's very important as far as me wanting to build my fitness business and to have a quality, fulfilling life in general. It has to do with social interaction, social activity, and how the lifestyle here in the United States is not so accommodating. And I'm not good at this. So I still struggle with that quite a bit. Even this week, I struggle with that. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Like in the past, if I were in a social situation, didn't matter what day of week it was. Sometimes it didn't matter what time of day it was. It's like the way I would deal with that if, I'm in the bar with a group of people, time for a glass of wine, time for a beer, whatever, loosen that up. So I would use alcohol as a social lubricant. And I've had to learn to deal without it. And so I'm very blessed and fortunate that when I am put into a social situation like that, I'm not just falling back on alcohol. It's one of the reasons why I think I'm not an alcoholic per se, but as far as alcohol causing problems in my life and me recognizing that alcohol causes problems in my life, that's entirely different. So I drink and I recognize it's a problem. I recognize it's a problem to drink as a social lubricant because we should all feel comfortable enough in our own skin to just be social. I also recognize that I'm an introvert, but I also recognize that alcohol is a problem for me because of the other things it makes me want to do. Like I've said a million times on here, it makes me want to smoke. If I have a beer or two and I catch that buzz, my mind is going to be like, smoke! And there's going to be no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Or if I don't smoke, the temptation will be so strong that it's an incredible psychological nuisance. Other senses in which I recognize alcohol is just not the right thing for me. It's not like, so if I go out drinking with you and we're pretty good friends or something, we're gonna have a good time. I'll enjoy myself around the right company and it'll be a lovely time, a lovely night out. And then what? Then I might drive home drunk, which is entirely wrong. It puts me and other people hugely at risk. So that's a net benefit, a given net benefit, that there's no drinking and driving involved. But if I do go out and I have a few beers and a few shots, the way I wind up paying for it is it's not even necessarily the next following day. It's like 2, 3, 4 days later. I feel like a sledgehammer has been doing a number on my brain and my mood is suffering big time. These are all things I have to remind myself, because if I'd make a decision, okay, I'm going to get drunk now, I'm going to have a few drinks, and one leads to another, and another, and then because you think you're having a good time, you push it too far, and then next thing you know, you're drunk. I have to remind myself when I'm sober, and I have to remember with extreme clarity that if I have those drinks, I'm going to be suffering emotionally. I'm going to be down and out, and I'm going to have to get through that. And so these are things I say to myself and I remember on a constant basis to keep me from drinking. I think it's necessary. And I miss drinking. I miss the social situations where people loosen up and have fun like that. But really what I'm dealing with is not so much an obsession like needing to drink alcohol, having to drink alcohol because you're sick like that. It's just recognizing that when I do, these problems materialize, and boy, it's hard to make it through. So I can't tell you enough how when I drink, how low my mood can get a few days later. And it's a few days later. Most people are just like, oh, you have a hangover one day after and then you're fine. You do a substantial number on your mind getting drunk, in my opinion, if you have a few drinks and a few shots. And it's a many day deficit. I've always kind of said, like, what you do now to enjoy yourself, to enhance this current state of euphoria, you're going to be paying for it when it's chemical. That's really one reason why I love the exercise, is because I have certainly begun to realize and recognize when those endorphins kick in from the activity. I'm like, ooh, I love this. I'm feeling like on a natural high, and it's like great right when I finish working out, and it tapers off over hours throughout the day. What a great way to start the day. So that's one of the reasons why this is FitSpaz, right? Because I want to encourage people to use fitness as essentially their mood regulator. And it's good for your health, and you get all kinds of other benefits, but the mood regulation, rather than a lot of people who probably don't technically 100% need something pharmaceutical to improve their mood, and it's just given to them because it's sold like candy by these drug dealer doctors. A lot of them, not all of them. In some cases, I'm sure it's necessary. Let me qualify it with that. But so instead of taking those mood meds, it's so great when people can get off their butt and do something, and you don't have to do heavy cardio and crazy exhausting stuff like I'm doing. You can get up and go for a walk. This is the simplest thing for people. And I repeat this every time I talk about having a walk. When I think of somebody who not long ago said, I hate walking, I'm like, I didn't criticize that, but in my mind, I'm like, why? That's crazy. It's like the easiest, most relaxing thing you can do. So if you like to listen to talk radio or music, walking is so easy, and it's so relaxing for me to do that. When the weather's nice and I walk around the lake down from my house, I'm like, I'm in a good place. It's really hard for my mood not to feel good. And so, gee whiz, I have a lot of things I try and keep regular for my mood, and a little bit of my mood suffering this past week was being short on sleep for a couple nights here and there. Waking up at 3:30, 4 in the morning. Oh, I hate when that happens. So even back when I was drinking and smoking, if I woke up at 2 in the morning, seriously, which would happen a lot when I just, my mood, my sleep pattern was whack, and I couldn't get 6 or 7 proper hours of sleep, I'll tell you, my mood emotionally was just like always teetering on a cliff. My temperament too. And it didn't contribute to my ability to lead a calm, relaxed, fulfilling life. So there are just all these different things. It's like an ensemble of things, and you have to orchestrate each and every one of them just to have that baseline of, okay, things are okay. I can deal with whatever life throws at me. And for me, you throw 1 or 2 of those things out. Nutrition's another one. Sleep, not drinking, not smoking, exercise, meditation. You throw one of those 2 things out, and it can really manifest a day that's just off kilter. I've been off kilter this week, I think, and a lot of it has to do with losing sleep, and also the other mood and energies people are putting out there because of the politics. I wish people could just put it in perspective and put it away. Like, instead of always feeling like you have to fight for that thing, put something out there that's going to, instead of start an argument, make people happy. A song. Sometimes I put songs on my Facebook page, and it's just like, I try to put something out there that people are going to enjoy like that. Instead of let's fight over blah or make a comment about blah, 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 blah. Get back to this a little bit. Mastery. Still been reading this book. Mastery. The Keys to Success and Long-Term Fulfillment by George Leonard. I'm still very much appreciating this. I've been taking it very slowly. And the reason I'm taking it, I could read 50 pages of this in a day easily. But when you do that, I think you have a harder time absorbing the material. So I'm doing about 10 to 20 pages. And that allows me to kind of stop and reflect on it. And I think after you're done reading, a big part of the learning comes from when you are actually remembering it and thinking about it, even in contexts of your life at a given moment where something applies. And in this week, one of the things I read about was you get into a modality of life where you're doing these good habits on a regular basis. And it's like really good. You know it's good for yourself. And then all of a sudden something shifts and you backtrack. And you have to understand that that's kind of normal sometimes, but not to be too discouraged and try to get yourself back into the routine again. I have a tendency when I slip out of a good habit to be a little hard on myself. And I've just tried to little by little, day by day, build up to it again. And lately I've felt so flustered, not properly grounded, that I think maybe I should take another trip somewhere because instead of getting high, I can take a trip somewhere, enjoy a place, and get a real change of mentality that comes with that change in scenery, instead of indulging in the drugs and whatever. You know what I mean? So I'm in this environment every day. It's going to produce a lot of the same feelings. Sometimes you kickstart yourself into a different mindset by going somewhere and doing something. Another thing I've been thinking a lot about, but it's really extremely hard for me. As a guitar player, I've been longing to get back into that habit, but I don't know how to stimulate myself to get back into it again. I remember after being in a band for a while and jamming with other people and settings like that, it's just been really hard to enjoy it as much when you sit and jam alone compared to when you have a drummer there, a bassist, and maybe you're singing like I used to sing along with it too. And it's really hard getting back into that habit, and I would love to. I used to do it so much when I was younger. It seemed like I would never stop for a long time. And it wasn't just like a brief obsessive habit. It went on for years and years and years where I was producing and writing and doing all this stuff. And I'm missing it. And at the time of day when I may not be doing all the types of things I should to move my life forward, I should at least be sitting and practicing and enjoying it, regardless of whether at that moment there's some huge leap in what I'm learning or not. I should always be learning new riffs, new chord progressions, doing new exercises. And, like it says in this book, you reach a plateau, and most of your life you spend in the plateau. You've got to learn to love that plateau and just enjoy the practice, even if you're not bumping up your level or skill level at that moment. You just have to be patient and stick with it and love the plateau. That's key. I'm trying to get back into that. I'm going to start wrapping this up. I don't want to sit here and sound like I'm whining. I don't know. Is that what I'm doing? You guys want to give me feedback? Send feedback to paul@fitspaz.com. I got some really nice feedback from Howard after the show last week. I always appreciate your comments, by the way, Howard. In a lot of ways, I wouldn't have gone down this path without your influence, so I am grateful for that. And I want to give a shout out to Kevin MacLeod, who produced and provides all the musical backdrop for this show. I very much appreciate that. Go to incompetech.com to learn more about him. Of course, you can search this beautiful word right here, FitSpaz, FITSPAZ, on Facebook, and you will find me with my name there. And that's pretty much where I'm most active, even though on the website once a week I'm posting these podcasts up there. You can find all the links to every form of social media I'm on by going to FitSpaz.com, but I'm most active on Facebook, so you'll want to be sure to join that page. And if you want to add me as a friend personally too, if you dig what I'm doing here, please feel welcome to do that as well. And so, where are we going to do here? Outro. All right, everybody, this one was good this week. I hope I said something meaningful. If you like this show, please tell your friends. Send me feedback. Like I said, paul@fitspaz.com. Take it easy in the meanwhile, and I'll catch up to you guys very, 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 very soon. Peace.